Welcome back to Fountain of Youth TV, and as promised, we're going to be demonstrating a few techniques to assist you in doing the flat foot squat or the Asian squat correctly. Now, we were born being able to squat and rest comfortably in this position. Watch children play, and as they move about, they perform this ritual that God intended our bodies and designed our bodies to do without any kind of pain or problems. However, as we age, we know that the modern comforts of our society have us resting on couches and chairs, and we no longer are using our bodies as they were intended to do. We end up with tight hips, hamstrings, calves, knees, tendons, our Achilles tendons shorten right up, and then we can't even get down into a squat. So I'm going to give you a couple helpful hinters to help to stretch out problem areas where you might have pain when you want to start to try to do this, and just kind of follow along as we demonstrate each of the different forms you can take and make life a little easier getting into the squat. But remember, if you've had hip replacements or joint replacements or any kind of mobility issues, please consult your physician first before attempting to do this. Okay, so here we go. So first of all, we want to think about, it's been a long time that many of us have even thought about getting down into a squat or onto the floor because we're so accustomed to sitting in chairs all day, on couches, driving in our cars. We really have become a society that just sits most of the time. We've got to rethink what we've been doing and get more, living more on the floor. So today, hopefully this will be the beginning. I was telling Rox the other day, I can remember during my pageant modeling days when I would wear shoes like this, my fabulous stilettos, 5-inch heels, and wearing these every day. Even when I started teaching the older students, I still wore this kind of a shoe every day. But I also was equipped and armed with the information that my designers and my coaches, my modeling coaches had always told me. Remember, you want to make sure that every day when you get home, you take your shoes off, you stretch the Achilles tendon because it will shorten up. And I thought, great words of wisdom. So every day for 30 plus years, I'm always stretching the back. And I'm going to show you some quick little tips on how to get that so you can stretch the calf muscle and your tendons out, because they do shorten up because we've been sitting at a 90-degree angle most of our lives, and our bodies are shaped to our chairs, and we need to reshape and rethink what we're doing with our bodies and our lives. We want to get down into squats and on the floor. So the first thing I do is, you can take a phone book, so you don't have to go out and buy anything, and you could just put your foot, or even on a step or something, anything, but this is just so cheap and easy. And you put your foot up onto it and then kind of lean forward, and you can feel that wonderful, just a little, but don't pull too hard if it's really hurting, and it just feels so good. So you can do it this way, very simple, and just kind of hold it. If it's hurting too much, then back off, okay? And then of course, then you swap and you do the next foot. And just kind of hold it. So you just do this every once in a while if you have time. So this is something that I do every night after I'm done working out. I actually go down on the floor. For you, if you haven't been on the floor in a while, it's kind of like, just take your time getting down. If you want to hang on to a counter or something, or have someone assist you getting there, get down onto the floor, okay? And then kind of like on all fours. And then what I do is I take one foot, bring it forward, and then I take this and take it back. And now I'm going into, see the Achilles tendon, see right here what's going on? See how I'm pulling back, I'm pushing back on it. Feels so wonderful. But plus, I'm also working my hamstrings on my other leg. But this is just, and you can kind of go back and forth. But then I like to go up even onto my toes. We need to work every part of the foot, and just really, you're up on your toes, you're working those, where the ball is. Now I'm pushing back, but not too hard if it feels like it's pulling and hurting. We want to have a little bit of attention to have improvement, but not too much. And then of course, then you swap and go into the other foot as well. So that's a way of really helping to stretch out your calf and your tendons and so forth. We've got to get those lengthened, or else we're going to have a hard time going into a full flat foot squat. Okay, now, next we're going to do is I'm going to have Rox come in, and she's going to help. She's going to be my model, and I'm going to show you a way to start. Now, if you have no problem getting down into a flat foot squat, you can fast forward and go right to the actual squat. But this is for the person who has maybe not been into a squat, not been on the floor, we're going to slowly, gradually get you into there. So what I do is, and I'm going to take this now, Rox is going to. Okay, so Rox, if you would get down onto the floor. Now you can do this right in bed, because if you're not used to getting on the floor, do this in bed. Okay, so now Rox is going to get right onto her back. Again, this can be done in your bed. I start my morning every day. When I wake up, I start my morning in by doing this. And Rox, would you take your knees and pull them right up to your chest? So watch what she's doing, watching her pelvis. Notice the range of motion. This is almost like a laying down squat. It's almost the exact same. If you look at the position, if I could stand her up, she would literally be in the squat position. But right now, if you've got hip problems, knee problems, any kind of joint issues, whatever's going on with your body, this is one way to actually stretch out and start to move your body. So even if you're doing this every day, you're actually helping to improve the situation and to get more, just stretching, and you're getting your fluids moving and just your body just more toned. So this is a simple way. I do this before I get up. This is one way I stretch out in the morning. So that's one way to start. Thanks, Rox. Now stay down there. Now, Rox, I'm going to ask her, after you get used to doing that for a while, then I'm going to ask her to get over onto your floor. So now you can see how Rox is down here, and notice how the foot is flexed out this way. Okay, she's also stretching the top. We're always stretching. Now, Rox, if you can sit back slowly onto your heels. Now, if she may stop, there's some people may say, I can't go any further because this is hurting my knees. Then you wouldn't go any further. But this is at least getting you into a form of a squat. Okay, and you can see how she is. This is also called the Caesar. This is how I sit sometimes when I eat dinner at our makeshift table here. And this is how women in the Japanese culture, that's how one of the ways that they sit at nighttime, looking very fabulous, Rox. And so this is one way to work your way into a squat. Next, Rox, kind of go up onto your toes now, lean forward. Go up onto your toes where your toes are, just like that. Now, if she were to lean back, that's going to lift her up a little bit more, where she wouldn't have to go down as far. You could even put a pillow underneath there, so it would kind of stop you. But the big thing is you're helping to stretch all of these joints that you're not used to using. But do this a couple times a day if you can fit that into the schedule. That's one way to ease your body into more movement. Okay, thanks so much, Rox. Fabulous. Good job. Good job. So now maybe it's been a couple of weeks or so, it may even take a couple of months to get your body used to doing this. And again, I'm going to reiterate, if you've had hip or knee replacements, any kind of joint issues or anything with your body, be sure you speak with your physician and get his approval or her approval. And just take your time. You may not get to a full squat, but at least each day you're trying something for more movement. It's all about movement. We've got to really get our bodies going. So now we've got a chair. This is kind of an easy way to think about the squat. It's nothing big. People always think, well, how do you do it? We really do have an innate way of knowing because it's in our DNA. So here's what we do. Using a chair, think about what it's like to sit down. So you're going to sit down. You think you lead with your buns. You lead with your glutes, okay? And you sit down in the chair. Easy, right? But notice I'm not having to use something. If you find you're always having to use something, we want to kind of get to the point where you don't have to, where you're using your glutes and the muscles of your body, your core, to manage all that. Because when you go down into a flat foot squat, you're going to need to have strength and not have to go crashing down, because that's just too much momentum. You want to have control of your body, and that's all with muscles. And the joints, of course, are really working for you. Another great tip to tell you is the more you move, we have a liquid called synovial fluid, and that is the lubricant that goes into all of our joints. The more we move, the more synovial fluid is actually pumping into our joints, and water is also pumped in, and it helps it to slide over the cartilage for more movement, more easy movement. So it's this win-win situation. The more we move, the more we're lubricating all of our joints. Like a door, if we don't open a door, it gets creaky and then it gets rusty. We need to move full range, not just a little bit. You've got to move your whole body every day. Get that synovial fluid pumping full of that beautiful water in our bodies. It helps to lubricate. So just a word for thought. So now, we're in the chair. When you go to stand up, think about, are you always having to hang on to something? Try to think about leading, okay? Use your legs, use the muscles. Try not to use your knees, okay? Work with your buns. So when you get used to doing this, and think about every day, how many times do you get in and out of a chair? Use that as your workout. Use that as your practice. Keeping everything tight. Think about how your pelvis is, okay? You don't want to go back like this, okay? You don't want to over like this. You want to sit up and really think about how your ribs are lining up with your pelvis, okay? And really hold that core in. It really is nice and tight. You're almost getting a workout nonstop once you get used to doing this. And then you're going to lift up, again, thinking about your buns, your glutes doing the work for you. Okay. Now, when you're used to doing that, then you're going to move forward. Always keeping your foot straight. Think about your shins. Your shins also should be lined up. Now I'm going to take the phone book again, because we don't need to use it as a stretch. I'm going to move the large one off here. And now I'm going to use it because we're so used to with our shoes being lifted. You know, when you think about in the Western culture, this is how we do our squats. We go like this. We go onto our toes like this because everything's so shortened. So now, to help with that situation, you can use the phone book and actually put your heels on the back of it, which gives you that lift. But I want you to think about when you're going down into a squat and you're ready to go into it, think of your heels. You want your heels to press into that. It's your heels. Don't think about your toes, because then that's torquing your knees. You want to get away from the knees, okay? And you want everything straight. Make sure everything's nice and straight. About shoulder width apart, okay? So now when you're going to want to go down into your first squat, you can hang onto a counter, a door, a sliding door, a chair, have someone help you. But put the phone book right behind your heels. And it gives you that lift. But be sure you're pushing down and lead with your glutes. Think of you're trying to find the chair. And as you're going down, lead with your glutes, okay? And think of your shins being straight, vertical, and not going over your feet, because then that's causing pressure onto those poor knees. So you hang on, okay? Leading with your glutes, and you go right down, and that's it. Notice that my hamstrings are right against the calf, okay? That's a good squat. Notice my feet are straight forward, okay? You'll feel that your heels are pressing down. If your toes are going up again, lift them up, okay? Then when you're ready to come up, again, think about your glutes leading, push back on your heels and not on your knees, not on your feet, the front of the foot, okay? Then when you're ready, could be a couple days, you're going to take the pages of your phone book, okay? You can actually turn them, and it's going to make your heels get lower and closer to the ground. And then you can just keep going. Eventually, you can see how by doing that, you eventually become right flat on the ground. So then you get to this point, and at this point, you should be ready to let go. So you're going to step back, okay? And again, keeping your knees vertical above, everything straight, okay? You may want to do this for a little bit, but the goal is to eventually move your feet straight on in and pretty close. That's about where I feel my stance, that I go down. And you're going to go down, leading again, okay? Watching how your back is straight. You don't want to be all humped over, okay? You want to be able to sit like this. And this is how I eat. I teach this way. My kindergartners sit this way a lot, okay? But eventually you'll be able to move. And if you look at different people that are doing squatting, that are proficient at this, you don't even think about it anymore. And there's all different ways. I'll be rocking, and you can get into different positions from here. It's really working, and you're getting a workout for your glutes, which is a great perk, and your quads, and your everything, your hamstrings, everything. It just gets so tight, and it's just part of the daily life. We shouldn't be having to always all this exercise when it's all day long you're really moving. So again, and then coming back up, leading with your glutes and keeping your heel down. So that's really part of what our life is like, and incorporating this into your daily life and keeping your body moving. Remember, keep moving your body. It's imperative. And so remember, we need to emancipate ourselves from what society dictates is the correct way to live and go back to how we were originally designed, being vibrant, alive, mobile, and agile, even up into old age. Be like our ancestors and live more on the floor. It's fun. So take charge of your health destiny and get back to your primal side. You can do it. Thanks for joining us here on Fountain of Youth TV, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.